I hate the one less God argument. I hate it so badly. It makes me want to pull my hair out. It is one of the worst arguments I've ever heard. I go as far as to say it's not even an argument. It's just a semantic game at all. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time trying to argue with someone who holds to this line of reasoning. I hate the one less God argument. And I'm not going to just play it on today. I'm going to explain why I hate it so badly. The one less God argument is this. You are an atheist for every God you don't believe. I happen to believe in one less God than you, so therefore we are both atheists. And we are even. Okay, right off the bat, the biggest problem with this argument is that it's a giant semantic game. You have to define what atheist actually is. Then when you try to define atheists as... Atheists can't even decide what the word atheist actually means. Some say, lack of belief in God. No belief in God. Disbelief in God. Disbelief in all gods. Once you get... Do you see where I'm getting at with this? The one less God argument is trying to argue that because either Christians, Muslims, Jews, or whatever don't believe in, like, say, paganism or polytheism or whatever, that makes them atheists in regards to their. That doesn't make them an atheist. According to Islam, I'm an infidel. That doesn't make me an atheist. Then we have to go in the whole semantic game about, okay, what is an atheist? What qualifies as an atheist? I can't. It's such a frustrating semantic game. I spent 2 hours of my time arguing with this guy. I'm not gonna give his name. I'll just post a link to the conversation if anyone's interested. All this argument does is go into a huge semantic game about who qualifies as an atheist, what is atheism, how we define atheism, and so on and so on. It's like the moment it's like when you try to argue that, well, you are an atheist in regards to Allah, that means you're an atheist in regard to Allah. Even if that's true, that doesn't make me an atheist. According to the traditional definition of atheist, atheism is a total disbelief in all gods. And you cannot be an atheist and believe in Zeus, or believe in Allah, or believe in Yahweh. You cannot believe in any conception of God and still be an atheist. It does not make any sense whatsoever. Then you have to justify, okay, how you define this, how you define this belief, how you define this. Do you see where I'm getting at? If someone tries to argue that you believe in one less God than me, how can you argue with it? You can't refute the argument. No, I take that back. You can't refute it because there's nothing to refute. It's basically arguing in a circle. It's like, why do I even bother arguing with someone who holds this line of reasoning? It's like but then when you try to even argue with the person advocating this argument about what atheism actually is, they keep redefining what atheism is. It gets to a point like when you try to use the traditional definition of atheism, they tell you that you're wrong or you're misguided or, no, not misguided, misinformed about the actual real definition of atheism. Because they say, oh, every single atheist defines atheism differently. What is so complicated about atheism? Atheism is retaining to the idea of God. It has nothing to do with anything else. You can believe in the flying. You can believe in the boogeyman or believe in ghosts and still be an atheist. All atheism is pertaining to the idea of God or gods. Theism. You put the A in front of the word theism. Why is that so complicated? And then, once you try to get into that, they still redefine the word atheism to the point where the word atheism loses its meaning. So then it gets to the point like, what are we arguing about? Are we arguing about how I'm an atheist because I don't worship Allah, but I worship Yahweh? This doesn't make sense. It's just a pure semantic game, and we're just arguing in a circle. I think abusive entity is said best when it comes to this kind of argument. Abusive entity is perfectly when he wrote this. The argument is just a little one-liner throw out, and it's not even really a good argument because it makes an assumption you have to back up, so it's pointless to just say. The reason theists don't believe in other gods is because they are directly contradictory to their God. It's impossible to be theist to every god. Would you use the same argument against a deist? A deist would just look at you and be like, wow, just because all of those religions are bullshit doesn't mean there wasn't a creator. So by the end of the day, once we start even arguing this argument, we end up losing what the actual argument is because we're too busy trying to define what atheism actually is. Woo! This argument is a waste of time. There's no point to it. And honestly, there's no conversation is getting between atheists and theists. Because we are not on the same ground. We are not on the same ground. This argument is a divider. It doesn't help. It needs to be abandoned. It is a terrible argument. It needs to be crushed and buried. Because it's not an argument. It's a semantic game. Nothing more.